The emergency beacon screamed across the galaxy. Every member species of the Galactic Cooperation heard it. The Varani were dying. The Cooperation Council gathered in the Great Chamber on Unity Station. Representatives from 47 species filled the massive room. They floated, stood, or rested on specialized seats built for their different bodies. The Varani ambassador, a small creature with silver skin and 6 delicate limbs, stood at the center. Her voice shook as she spoke. "Please," she said. "The Krell swarm has returned. They attack our colonies. Our people are dying. 3 worlds are already under siege. We cannot hold them. We need help." The council members looked at each other. Whispers filled the chamber. The Krell swarm, everyone knew that name. A species of insects that thought with one mind. They had been thrown out of the galaxy 300 years ago, after they destroyed 12 worlds. Now they were back. The eldest spoke first. They were beings of living crystal, ancient and wise. Their voice rang like bells. "We understand your pain, but we must follow the law. Military action requires formal approval. The process takes time." "How much time?" the Varani ambassador asked. Her eyes were wet with tears. 3 months, perhaps 4, another representative said. "We must review the request. Send it to committees. Vote on resource allocation. Follow proper procedures." The Varani ambassador's legs trembled. "In 3 months, my people will be extinct." "We have maybe 3 weeks. Please, I beg you." More voices joined the debate. The Trell representatives, tall beings with 4 arms, spoke of risk. The symphonic collective, creatures who sang instead of talked, worried about cost. The debate went in circles. Laws and rules and procedures. Always more talk. Never action. Ambassador Sarah Chen sat quietly. Humans had joined the cooperation only 80 years ago. Other species called them young, primitive, too emotional, too violent, too unpredictable. Human ships looked rough compared to the smooth, elegant vessels of older species. Human weapons made other species uncomfortable. Humans were tolerated but not respected. Chen listened to the debate for an hour. Then she stood up. Her voice cut through the noise. "Excuse me. May I ask a simple question?" The chamber fell silent. All eyes turned to the human. "How long until the Varani are extinct?" Chen asked. Her voice was calm but hard as steel. The eldest answered. "Based on current attack patterns, approximately 21 days. Chen nodded slowly. 21 days. She looked around the chamber. "And you need 3 months to decide if you will help them?" "The law requires," someone began. "The law is not fast enough," Chen said. She looked at the Varani ambassador. "I am sorry this council cannot help you, but I promise you this. Humanity will help you." Gasps filled the chamber. A Trell representative stood. "Ambassador Chen, you cannot make such promises. Humanity does not have the authority. You must wait for council approval." Chen turned to face him. "My authority comes from something older than your laws. My authority comes from being able to look at myself in the mirror, from being able to sleep at night, from being human." She walked toward the exit. "We do not have time for this." "Good day." She left the chamber. Behind her, the council erupted in angry voices. The Varani ambassador watched, her go with hope in her eyes for the first time in days. Chen reached her ship and opened a secure channel to Earth. "This is Ambassador Chen, Priority Alpha. Activate emergency military protocols. I need every available ship." The face of Admiral Marcus Hayes appeared on her screen. He was an old soldier with gray hair and tired eyes. "How many ships, Ambassador?" "All of them," Chen said. "The Varani are dying. The council will not help." "We will." Hayes was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded. "Understood. I will mobilize the fleet." "How long do we have?" 3 weeks. Maybe less. Then we move fast." Hayes saluted. "We will get there, Ambassador. And we will save them." Across human space, alarms began to sound. Naval bases received urgent orders. Crews rushed to their ships. Captains opened sealed emergency packets. The orders were simple, clear, direct. Get to Varani space. Save everyone you can. Use any means necessary. The human fleet began to move. 200 ships, destroyers, cruisers, carriers, and massive supply vessels. They were not pretty like the ships of older species. They were built for war, built to protect, built by a species that remembered what it meant to fight for survival. Admiral Hayes stood on the bridge of his flagship, the UNSC Defiance. Around him, his crew worked quickly and quietly. He looked at the star map. The journey to Varani space would take 12 days if they pushed the engines hard. 12 days of maximum speed. It was dangerous. It was reckless by cooperation standards, but people were dying, and humans did not abandon those who needed help. All ships, Hayes said into the fleet channel. This is Admiral Hayes, we have our orders. A peaceful species is under attack. They called for aid. The galaxy has abandoned them, but we will not. We go to war, he paused. Every captain in the fleet was listening. We will show them fire, Hayes said, and we will show them mercy. We will show them what it means to be human. Fleet, jump on my mark. The fleet jumped into faster than light travel. They left trails of light across the void, racing toward a war that nobody else would fight, racing to save people they had never met. In the council chamber, the eldest watched the human fleet disappear on long-range sensors. They are fools, one representative said. They will probably die. The Varani ambassador stood alone. She touched her communication device. My people, she whispered. Help is coming, hold on. Please hold on. Far away, 3 Varani colony worlds burned under Krell attacks. Millions hid in shelters. They had almost given up hope. But in 12 days, they would learn that hope sometimes comes in the form of 200 human warships, crewed by a species that refused to look away from suffering. The galaxy was about to learn what humans meant when they said the words, "We will help you." 12 days passed in a blur of speed and preparation. The human fleet pushed their engines beyond safety limits. Inside each ship, soldiers checked their weapons. Doctors prepared medical bays. Engineers ran system checks. Everyone knew what was coming. Admiral Hayes studied reports from Varani space. The news grew worse each day. 2 million Varani were already dead. The Krell swarm attacked without mercy. They burned cities. They destroyed food stores. They killed everything that moved. 30 minutes until we drop out of FTL, the navigation officer said. Hayes nodded. He opened the fleet channel. All ships, this is Hayes, battle stations. Weapons hot. We go in hard and fast. Remember your training. Protect each other. Save as many Varani as you can. Good luck. The fleet dropped into normal space at the edge of the Varani system. What they saw made even the hardest soldiers feel sick. 3 colony worlds hung in space. All 3 were covered in fire and smoke. Krell ships surrounded each world like swarms of angry insects. Thousands of them, small fighters and huge carriers. They moved together with one mind, attacking in perfect coordination. The few remaining Varani defense platforms fired desperately. But their weapons were designed for defense, not war. The platforms fell one by one under Krell attacks. Scan complete, the sensor officer said. Her voice shook. I count 4,300 Krell vessels. We are outnumbered 20-1. Hayes looked at the display. 20-1? He had fought in worse odds, once, maybe twice. He stood straight. Helm, take us in. All ships attack formation Delta. Target the Krell carriers first. Show them what human weapons can do. The human fleet accelerated. They did not slow down. They did not try to negotiate. They came like a hammer. The Krell detected them. The swarm began to turn. They expected the humans to be afraid, to hesitate, to run. Instead, the humans opened fire. Nuclear missiles launched by the hundreds. Kinetic kill vehicles accelerated to incredible speeds. Energy weapons lit up the darkness. The human fleet used weapons the galaxy considered barbaric, weapons too dangerous, too destructive. The first wave of missiles hit Krell carriers. The explosions were bright as small suns. 3 carriers vanished, then 5 more. Then 10, the Krell swarm reacted. They turned to face this new threat. Thousands of fighters swarmed toward the human fleet. Hayes smiled coldly. Deploy the drones. Human carriers opened their bays. Thousands of small autonomous drones poured out. Each one was a weapon with a simple computer brain. They were cheap to make, easy to replace, and they were everywhere. The drones met the Krell fighters in a storm of weapons fire. For every drone that died, a Krell fighter exploded. The drones used tactics no living pilot would try. They rammed enemy ships. They detonated themselves. They fought with no fear because they could not feel fear. The human ships pushed forward through the chaos. They fought like wolves in a pack. Destroyers protected carriers. Cruisers hunted the largest Krell ships. Frigates moved in groups, overwhelming enemy vessels with combined fire. The Krell had never fought anyone like this. Species in the cooperation fought carefully. They avoided losses. They retreated when things looked bad. They valued every life, Humans fought like they were already dead. They valued life, yes, but they valued freedom more. They valued protecting the innocent even more. They did not retreat, they advanced. Captain Maria Santos commanded the destroyer Righteous Fury. Her ship took heavy fire as it protected a medical vessel. Explosions rocked the hull. Systems failed. But Santos did not pull back. Hull breach on deck 3, someone shouted. Weapon system damaged. Engines at 60%. Keep firing, Santos said calmly. That medical ship has to survive. They need to get to the planet. People are dying down there. Her crew fought on. They destroyed 6 Krell fighters before the enemy ships finally retreated. The medical vessel made it through. The battle raged for 6 hours. Slowly, impossibly, the humans began to win. They paid a heavy price. 15 ships were destroyed. Thousands of soldiers died. But the Krell paid more. For every human ship lost, 50 Krell vessels burned. The autonomous drones were endless. The missiles kept coming. Human ships that should have retreated kept fighting. Admiral Hayes watched as another Krell carrier broke apart under concentrated fire. Status report, he ordered. We have destroyed approximately 2,000 enemy vessels, the tactical officer said. The Krell are beginning to pull back from the planets. Their attack coordination is breaking down. Hayes allowed himself a small smile. The Krell swarm had one weakness. They thought with one mind. When that mind became confused or afraid, the entire swarm faltered. And the Krell mind had never encountered anything like humanity. All ships press the attack, Hayes ordered. Deploy ground forces to the planet's surface. Begin evacuation of civilians. We end this now. Troop transports dropped toward the 3 worlds. Inside, thousands of human Marines prepared for ground combat. Sergeant James Park checked his rifle one last time. Around him, his squad did the same. 60 seconds to landing, the pilot announced. Drop zone is hot. Krell ground forces are everywhere. Park looked at his squad. Young faces, scared faces, but determined. Listen up, he said. Our job is simple. Find civilians, protect them, get them to the evacuation points. Some of you will not come back. I am sorry for that. But those people down there need us. So we go, we fight. We save as many as we can. Questions? Nobody spoke. They all knew what was coming. 30 seconds, the pilot said. Park stood. His squad stood with him. The transport shook as it entered the atmosphere. Through the windows he could see a burning city below. Krell warriors moved through the streets. Small Varani civilians ran and hid. 10 seconds. Doors opening. Go, go, go. The Marines poured out of the transport. They hit the ground running. Krell warriors turned to face them. The battle for the surface had begun. Above the planet, the space battle was ending. The surviving Krell ships retreated. They jumped to faster-than-light speed and fled. The swarm had learned a terrible lesson. Humans did not fight like other species. Humans fought to win. Admiral Hayes watched them go. He felt tired. So many had died. But they had won. The Varani colonies were saved. Now came the hard part. Now came the mercy. The last Krell ship disappeared into faster-than-light speed. The space around the 3 Varani colonies was quiet for the first time in weeks. The silence felt strange after so much violence. Admiral Hayes stood on his bridge. His uniform was dirty. His face was tired. Around him, his crew celebrated their victory. But Hayes did not smile. He looked at the 3 burning worlds below. The battle was over, but millions were still suffering. Open Fleet Channel, he ordered. Channel open, sir. All ships, well done. You fought bravely. You saved millions of lives today, but our work is not finished. Phase 2 begins now. All support vessels move into orbit. Deploy humanitarian aid. Medical ships prepare to receive casualties. Engineering teams assess damage to surface infrastructure. We came here to save these people. That means more than just fighting. Across the galaxy, other species watched with confusion. Cooperation observers had been monitoring the battle from long-range sensors. They expected the humans to pursue the Krell, to destroy them completely. That was what you did after a battle. You eliminated the threat. Instead, something strange happened. The human warships pulled back, and dozens of huge cargo ships moved forward. These vessels had traveled with the fleet, but had stayed out of the fighting. Now they came into orbit around the 3 worlds. Their cargo bays opened, but instead of more weapons, they revealed supplies, food, medicine, building materials, power generators, water purifiers, everything needed to rebuild a civilization. On the planet's surface, Sergeant Maria Santos searched through the ruins of a city. She had fought for 12 hours straight. She had killed 47 Krell warriors. Her armor was covered in dirt and blood, but now she moved carefully through collapsed buildings, calling out in the Varani language. "Hello? Is anyone there? We are here to help. You are safe now." A small sound came from beneath rubble. Santos dropped to her knees and began moving broken concrete with her bare hands. After several minutes, she found a tiny opening. Inside, a young Varani child huddled in the darkness. Her silver skin was covered in dust, her 6 small arms wrapped around herself in fear. Santos removed her helmet so the child could see her face. She smiled gently. "Hey there, little one. My name is Maria. I am here to help you. Can you take my hand?" The child stared at her. Varani and humans looked very different. But slowly, hesitantly, the child reached out one small hand. Santos took it carefully. "That is good. Very brave. Let me get you out of there." She pulled the child free and held her close. The child began to cry. Santos just held her and whispered soft words. The same soldier who had killed dozens of enemy warriors now comforted a frightened child. It came as naturally as breathing. Similar scenes played out across all 3 worlds. Human Marines became rescue workers. They dug through ruins. They gave out food and water. They set up emergency shelters. They treated wounded Varani with the same care they gave their own people. Dr. James Park worked in a field hospital that had been set up in a city square. He still wore his combat armor. He had not taken it off since landing. But now, instead of a weapon, he held medical instruments. A line of wounded Varani waited for treatment. He worked quickly but carefully. Each patient received the same attention. He set broken bones. He cleaned wounds. He spoke quietly to calm those in pain. His hands, trained to fight, now saved lives instead of taking them. A Varani elder approached him. She was very old, her silver skin marked with the patterns of age. She watched Dr. Park work for a long time before speaking. "Forgive me," she said in accented English. "I am trying to understand. You are the same human who killed so many Krell this morning?" Park looked up from his work. "Yes, ma'am. And now you heal my people?" "Yes, ma'am." She shook her head in wonder. "How is this possible? How can one being be both warrior and healer? Both destroyer and builder?" Park paused in his work. He thought about the question. "Because we understand what is worth protecting," he said finally. "We fight fiercely because we know what happens when good people do nothing. But we also know that violence is just a tool. The goal is not to destroy. The goal is to protect, to save, to help." The elder was quiet for a moment. "You are 2 species in one body," she said softly. "Warriors and healers. It is remarkable and frightening." Above them, human ships continued their work. Hospital ships in orbit received thousands of seriously wounded. Human doctors worked alongside Varani healers. Language barriers meant nothing. Medicine was universal. Engineering teams landed on the surface. They brought portable power generators to restore electricity. They repaired water treatment plants. They cleared roads so aid could reach remote areas. They worked 18-hour shifts without complaint. Lieutenant Commander Aisha Williams coordinated supply distribution from a temporary command center. She had charts showing which areas needed food, which needed medicine, which needed shelter. Her team worked efficiently, making sure aid reached everyone. But she also commanded defensive patrols. Some Krell warriors had been left behind when the fleet retreated. They still posed a danger, so Williams balanced 2 very different jobs. One moment she directed food shipments. The next, she sent soldiers to protect civilians from Krell stragglers. Both were equally important. Ambassador Chen arrived on the flagship 3 days after the battle. Admiral Hayes met her in his office. He looked even more tired than before. "The Cooperation Council wants to speak with you," Chen said. "They are demanding answers. They want to know why we acted without permission, why we used forbidden weapons, why we fight one moment and heal the next." Hayes poured himself coffee. He had barely slept. "What do they want me to say?" "The truth," Chen said. "Tell them what it means to be human." Hayes looked out at the planet below. Thousands of humans worked there, saving lives, rebuilding, making things better. Not because they expected reward, not because it was required, but because it was right. "I will tell them," he said quietly, "though I doubt they will understand." Down on the planet, Sergeant Santos carried the small Varani child through the ruins. She had found the child's family. They were alive, hiding in a shelter. When Santos reunited them, the parents fell to their knees and touched their heads to her boots. A Varani gesture of deepest gratitude, Santos felt tears in her eyes. This was why humans fought. Not for glory, not for power, for this, for families reunited, for children who would live to see tomorrow, for the simple act of helping someone in need. The galaxy watched with growing confusion. The same species that had fought with terrifying efficiency now showed kindness that seemed equally extreme. Humans gave away supplies freely. They worked to exhaustion helping strangers. They wept for Varani dead as they would weep for their own. It made no sense to species who valued logic above all. To species who measured everything by cost and benefit. To species who fought only when necessary and helped only their own. But to humans, it made perfect sense. They had come to save the Varani. Saving someone meant more than just keeping them alive. It meant giving them hope, dignity, a future. It meant fire when fire was needed, and mercy when mercy was needed. Both were essential parts of the same mission. Both came from the same place in the human heart. The Vrex retreat turned into a disaster. Human ships chased them relentlessly. Every time a Vrex ship fell behind, human fighters swarmed it. The kill rate was terrible. For every human ship destroyed, 3 Vrex ships died. The numbers were wrong. The Vrex had better technology. They should be winning. But they were not. Admiral Krenoth watched his fleet fall apart. His officers shouted damage reports constantly. Hull breaches on dozens of ships. Shield generators failing. Weapons offline. Casualties mounting. The communications channels filled with desperate voices calling for help. Help that could not come. There were too many damaged ships and not enough time. The concordant observers finally understood what made humans so dangerous. Human ships were cheap to build. A Vrex dreadnought took 20 years and massive resources. In that same time, humans had built 100 cruisers. The math was simple but devastating. The Vrex could not replace their losses fast enough. Humans could drown them in numbers. Another advantage became clear. Human ships had small crews. Most functions were automated by artificial intelligence. A human cruiser needed only 50 people. A Vrex ship of the same size needed 500. Humans could build more ships because they needed fewer trained crew members. They had solved the personnel problem with computers. The Concordat feared artificial intelligence. They had strict laws limiting computer thinking. Ancient wars had taught them to be careful, but humans had no such history. They embraced AI fully. Their computers helped design ships, control weapons, and make tactical decisions. It gave them an edge that Concordat species deliberately avoided. Human creativity in battle continued to shock the observers. They used tactics that military academies would call wrong or foolish. They split their formations in ways that should not work. They attacked from angles that left them exposed. But these tactics succeeded because the Vrex did not expect them. Unpredictability was its own weapon. One human tactic particularly disturbed the Concordat. When human ships were damaged beyond repair, their crews evacuated. Then the ships accelerated toward Vrex positions and exploded. The humans turned their dying vessels into massive bombs. No other species did this. It showed a level of ruthlessness that made everyone uncomfortable. Back on Earth, recordings showed how humans had achieved the impossible. Every nation had united completely. Old enemies became partners. Countries that had fought for centuries worked together without argument. Political differences were put aside. Religious conflicts were forgotten. Everyone had one goal: survival. Nothing else mattered. The human economy had transformed totally. Every factory stopped making normal goods. They made ship parts instead. Every mine dug materials for the fleet. Every power plant fed the shipyards. Millions of people lived on rations so resources could go to the military. Children studied engineering and warfare. Adults worked 16-hour days without complaint. The level of sacrifice was stunning. Humans had given up everything comfortable about their lives. No new cars or houses were built. No entertainment industries operated. No luxury goods existed. Every resource went to the fleet. An entire civilization had turned itself into a weapon. They had done what the Concordat thought impossible. They had truly unified as one species. The High Council convened an emergency session. They watched the battle unfold on massive screens. Some council members wanted to send help to the Vrex. Others argued for staying neutral. A few suggested offering humans peace terms. The debate grew heated. No one had expected this outcome. The Concordat itself might be at risk if humans won. Elder Voth of the Archons stood and spoke. His voice was old but strong. He said something that silenced the entire chamber. He said humans fought like they had nothing to lose, because from their perspective, they truly had nothing to lose. Their home was threatened. Their species faced extinction. When you threaten someone's existence, they become capable of anything. The Vrex fleet was down to 800 combat-capable ships. 2,200 had been destroyed or disabled. The battle had lasted 6 hours. Kranoth knew he was beaten. He prepared to signal surrender. But before he could, his sensor officer reported something new. More human ships were arriving. Another 10,000 fresh vessels emerged from Mars orbit. Kranoth understood then. The first wave of 47,000 ships was not the entire human fleet. It was just the first wave. Humans had built even more ships than anyone knew. They had reserves. They had reinforcements. The Vrex were not just losing. They were facing complete annihilation. Every ship, every crew, all of them would die here. Admiral Chen Wei opened communications again. Her face appeared on Kranoth's screen. She looked tired but determined. She offered him one chance. Surrender now and his crews would live. Continue fighting and every Vrex ship would be destroyed. She gave him 5 minutes to decide. She said she hoped he would choose wisely, but her eyes said she did not care which he chose. Kranoth looked around his bridge. His officers stared at him with exhausted, frightened faces. Young Vrex who had joined the military expecting glory and easy victories. Instead, they had found humans who refused to die. He thought about his duty and his pride. Then he thought about keeping his people alive. The decision was harder than he expected. The Valter Expanse was a region of space filled with asteroids and debris. It formed a natural barrier between Krell territory and the Cooperation core worlds. There was only one safe passage through. Whoever controlled that passage controlled access to trillions of lives. Admiral Hayes stood on his bridge and studied the tactical display. His fleet of 200 ships looked pitifully small compared to the approaching Krell force. Sensors showed over 2,000 enemy vessels, 10-to-1 odds. Again. Deploy defensive formations, Hayes ordered. Use the asteroid field as cover. Make them come through us. Every ship we destroy is one less that reaches the core worlds. His crew worked quickly. They had practiced this. The human fleet spread out through the passage, using the asteroids as shields and weapons. They placed mines, set up automated gun platforms, created overlapping fields of fire. They prepared to sell their lives dearly. Ambassador Chen opened a broadcast channel to the entire cooperation. She wanted everyone to see what would happen here, to understand what humans were doing, and why. People of the Galactic Cooperation, she said. This is Ambassador Sarah Chen of Earth. In a few hours, the Krell swarm will arrive at this location. The human fleet will try to stop them. We are outnumbered. We will probably fail. Many of us will die here. She paused. Across the galaxy, billions watched and listened. But we try anyway, not because we expect victory, not because we seek glory, but because someone has to stand up and say no. Someone has to draw a line and defend it. If that someone must be us, then so be it. We are honored to serve, for all people, for all species, for the future. The transmission ended. In the Cooperation Council chamber, representatives watched in silence. Some felt shame, some felt fear, some felt something they had not felt in centuries. The desire to act. The Krell arrived 2 hours later. Their fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel like a swarm of locusts. 2,000 ships, all moving with perfect coordination. They saw the human defensive line and did not slow down. They charged. The Battle of Valtor Expanse began. Human ships opened fire. Missiles streaked through space. Energy weapons carved through Krell vessels. The automated platforms added their firepower. Explosions lit up the darkness. But the Krell kept coming. For every ship destroyed, 3 more took its place. Captain Santos commanded her destroyer, the Righteous Fury. Her ship was already damaged from the previous battle, but she held her position in the defensive line. Krell fighters swarmed around her. Hull breach on multiple decks, shields at 20%. Weapons system Alpha is down. Her crew reported. Keep firing. Santos ordered calmly. "We hold this line." Her ship shook under repeated impacts, but she did not retreat. Around her, other human ships fought with the same determination. They used every trick, every tactic. They rammed when they ran out of ammunition. They detonated damaged ships to take Krell vessels with them. They fought like they had nothing to lose, because they did not. Everything worth protecting was behind them. 3 human destroyers were destroyed in the first hour, then 5 more. The line began to waver. The Krell were learning, adapting, using better tactics. They concentrated fire on individual ships, broke through weak points. Slowly but surely they pushed forward. Admiral Hayes watched his fleet dying. He had seen combat before, but never like this. Never against such overwhelming numbers. He opened a channel to Ambassador Chen. "Ambassador, I need you to know. We cannot hold. There are too many. In another hour, they will break through. I am sorry." Chen's voice was steady. "You have nothing to apologize for, Admiral. You gave them time. Time for others to wake up. Time for the galaxy to see what courage looks like. That is enough." But even as she spoke, something changed. New contacts appeared on long-range sensors, ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. Dozens of them. Then hundreds. "Admiral," the sensor officer shouted. "We have multiple fleet signatures inbound, identifying Virani vessels, Kryn warships, Tal-Uri engineering ships. Sir, the cooperation is coming." Hayes stared at the display in disbelief. Species that had never coordinated military action were arriving in formation. The cooperation fleet was not organized, not properly trained for combined operations. But they came anyway. The Virani ambassador's voice came through on the command channel. "Admiral Hayes, this is the Virani Defense Fleet, 50 ships reporting for duty. Where do you need us?" Before Hayes could respond, another voice joined. "This is Kryn Battle Singer Taven. 20 warships stand ready. We have studied your tactics, Admiral. Tell us where to strike." More voices followed. Species that had never fought together. Species that had different languages, different cultures, different technologies. But they all said the same thing. "We are here. We will help." Hayes felt emotion rising in his throat. He pushed it down. There would be time for feelings later. Now was the time for war. "All ships, this is Admiral Hayes. Welcome to the fight. Form up on your designated human vessels. We fight together. We protect each other. Use combined arms doctrine. Target their carriers and command ships. Today we show the Krell what happens when the galaxy stands united." The reinforced fleet struck the Krell like a hammer. The Virani were fierce in their gratitude. The Kryn fought with poetry and precision. The Tal-Uri used their engineering skills to disable enemy systems. Other species contributed their unique strengths, and the humans taught them. In the middle of battle, human captains shared tactics with their cooperation allies. They coordinated strikes, covered each other's weaknesses. For the first time in galactic history, the cooperation fleet fought not as individuals, but as a unit. The tide of battle turned. The Krell found themselves facing not a small human fleet, but the combined might of 47 species. They had numbers, but the cooperation had unity, and unity was stronger. Captain Santos worked alongside a Virani cruiser. Together they destroyed a Krell carrier. Santos opened a channel to the Virani captain. "Good shot. Their shields were weakening on the port side." "Did you see?" The Virani captain's voice was excited. "Yes. Your missile strike created the opening. This combined tactic is effective." "Stay close to me," Santos said. "I will draw their fire. You hit them while they are focused on me." It was working. Species that had fought defensively for centuries learned to hunt, to coordinate, to trust each other. And they learned from the best teachers. Humans who had spent their entire history perfecting the art of war, and the art of working together. Admiral Hayes led a final push into the heart of the Krell formation. He targeted the Hive Queen's massive command ship. If they could destroy it, the entire swarm would collapse. "All ships, concentrate fire on that carrier. Marines, prepare. For boarding action, we end this now." The combined fleet focused their weapons. The Hive Queen's shields collapsed. Boarding pods launched from human ships. Marines poured onto the enemy vessel. They fought deck by deck, corridor by corridor. Humans, Varani, and Kryn warriors fighting side by side. Sergeant James Park led his squad through the burning corridors of the Krell ship. Beside him fought a Kryn warrior poet and 3 Varani soldiers. They covered each other, saved each other, bled together. They reached the command chamber. The Hive Queen waited there, a massive creature surrounded by her guards. The final battle was short and brutal. When it ended, the Hive Queen lay dead, and with her death, the swarm's coordination vanished. Throughout the battlefield, Krell ships began to drift. Without their central intelligence, they were lost. Confused. They tried to retreat but collided with each other in their panic. The Cooperation fleet hunted them down. By the time the last Krell ship fled into faster-than-light travel, the galaxy had changed forever. The Cooperation had won. Together. 1 month after the Battle of Valter Expanse, the Galactic Cooperation Council gathered again. But this time the mood was different. There was no anger, no debate, just quiet respect. The eldest spoke first. Their crystal voice was soft. Ambassador Chen, Admiral Hayes, on behalf of the Galactic Cooperation, we thank you. You saved us all. You showed us what we had forgotten. The meaning of courage, of sacrifice, of unity. Chen stood beside Hayes. Both wore formal uniforms. Both looked tired. They had spent the month helping with recovery efforts across multiple worlds. Humanity never stopped working, never stopped helping. We only did what was necessary, Chen said. What anyone should have done. No, a Trell representative said. He was the same one who had criticized humans before. Now his voice held respect. You did what we could not. You acted when we would only debate. You risked everything when we risked nothing. We were wrong about humanity. We are sorry, other representatives nodded. Voices of agreement filled the chamber. For the first time in centuries, the council was truly united. United by the example humans had shown them. The eldest continued. The council has voted. From this day forward, humanity will hold special status within the cooperation. Your military tactics will be taught to all member species. Your humanitarian protocols will become the standard for disaster response. And we formally apologize for doubting you. Hayes stepped forward. With respect, eldest, we do not want special status. We want partnership. We want to work together. That is how we won at Valtor. Not because humans were special, but because we all fought as one. The symphonic collective sang their response. Then partnership you shall have. We learned much from you, not just about war, but about what war is for. You fight to protect. You show mercy because you remember needing mercy. You help because helping is right. These are lessons we should have known already. Thank you for teaching us. The ceremony ended with a promise. The species of the cooperation would train together. Share knowledge. Stand ready to defend each other. The age of isolation was over. The age of unity had begun. Later, Ambassador Chen traveled to Varani Prime, the capital world of the Varani species. She came for the dedication of a memorial. Thousands of Varani gathered in the central square. At the center stood a massive sculpture. It showed a human soldier kneeling beside a Varani child. The soldier's hand reached out. The child's hand reached back, both touching. Both trusting, the Varani elder spoke to the crowd. We were dying. The galaxy abandoned us. But humanity came. They came with fire to defend us, with mercy to heal us, with love to teach us. This monument will stand for 10,000 years. So our children's children will remember, will know that when darkness came, someone stood against it, someone cared. At the base of the sculpture, words were carved in both human and Varani languages. Chen read them aloud. They came with fire to defend us, with mercy to heal us, with love to teach us. We will never forget. Tears ran down Chen's face. She was not ashamed. Humans cried when they felt deeply. It was part of what made them human. Sergeant Maria Santos stood nearby in the crowd. She wore her dress uniform. Medals covered her chest. But she was not here for honors. She was here because she had been invited by a family, a Varani family she had saved. The small Varani child ran to her. The same child Santos had pulled from the rubble. The child hugged Santos's leg. Her parents approached and bowed deeply. You gave us our daughter back, the mother said. How can we ever repay you? Santos knelt down to the child's level. She smiled. You do not need to repay me. Just be happy. Raise your daughter well. Teach her to help others when they need it. That is all I ask. The child looked up at her. When I grow up, I want to be like you. I want to help people. Santos felt her heart swell. This was why humans fought. Not for glory. Not for power. For moments like this. For children who would grow up safe. For hope. In human space at the Cooperation War College, alien officers now studied human military tactics. But they also studied human philosophy. The idea that strength existed to protect the weak. That violence was only justified when used to defend the innocent. The mercy was not weakness but the highest form of strength. Admiral Hayes taught classes there sometimes. Young officers from dozens of species listened to his lessons, not just about weapons and tactics, but about why they fought, about the difference between a soldier and a warrior, about honor. A soldier fights because they must, Hayes told his students. A warrior fights because they choose to. We choose to stand between darkness and light, between chaos and civilization, between death and life. That choice makes us who we are. Remember that. Hold on to it, especially when things get hard. His students listened carefully. They were learning. The whole galaxy was learning. The cooperation would never be the same. Humans had changed it forever, not through conquest, not through domination, but through example. Across cooperation space, new protocols were established. Fast response teams, humanitarian aid always ready, military forces trained to work together, all based on human models, all designed to ensure that never again would someone call for help and receive only debate. Ambassador Chen gave her final speech to the Council before returning to Earth. You asked me to explain humanity. I told you we are not perfect. We make mistakes, we feel deeply, we act before thinking sometimes, but we try, we care. When someone needs help, we give it, not because of laws or rules, but because we remember what it was like to need help ourselves. She paused and looked around the chamber. You call us paradoxical, fire and mercy, warriors and healers, destroyers and builders, but there is no paradox. These qualities are not opposites. They are partners. We fight fiercely because we love deeply. We show mercy because we understand suffering. We destroy evil so that good can grow. This is what it means to be human. We came to your cooperation as the youngest species, the least experienced, the most primitive, but we brought something you had forgotten. The willingness to act, the courage to care, the strength to be kind even after being cruel. We hope you will learn from us. Just as we have learned from you, together, we are stronger. The Council stood as one and applauded, not just polite applause, but genuine heartfelt appreciation. Chen smiled. She thought about the long journey from Earth, the doubts humans had faced, the suspicion, the fear, all of that was gone now. Humanity had proven itself, not through words but through actions. They had answered a call for help. They had shown fire when fire was needed, and mercy when mercy was needed. They had changed the galaxy. Years later, in a small hospital on a human colony world, an elderly nurse named Aisha Williams helped a young Varani doctor learn new surgical techniques. The doctor was fascinated by human medicine, but also by human kindness. Why do you help everyone? The young doctor asked. Not just your own species, but all species. You give so much. What do you gain? Williams smiled. She was old now. Her hair was gray, but her eyes still held the same determination they had when she commanded supply operations during the war. What do we gain? Everything that matters. Purpose. Meaning. The knowledge that we made the universe a little better. That is worth more than any payment. The young Varani nodded slowly. Understanding. This was the lesson humanity had taught the galaxy, that helping others was not a burden. It was a privilege, that protecting the weak did not make you weak. It made you strong. That mercy and strength were not opposites but partners. In a classroom on Varani Prime, a teacher told her students about the dark time, about the Krell invasion, about the day humanity came with fire and mercy. The students listened with wide eyes. They had heard the story many times, but they never tired of it. Why did they help us? One student asked. It was the same question every generation asked. The teacher smiled. She was the daughter of the small child Santos had saved. She had grown up inspired by that human soldier. Now she taught others. Because someone had to, she said. And they happened to be there. That is what humans say. But I think the real reason is simpler. They helped us because that is who they are. They help, they protect, they care. It is their nature. On Earth, in the military academy where human officers trained, a new motto hung above the entrance. It was written in all the languages of the cooperation. We answer the call. Simple words. But they held deep meaning. Every human officer learned the story of Valtor, of the Virani, of the moment when humanity chose to act instead of debate, to help instead of abandon, to fight and heal, to bring fire and mercy. And they learned that this was not special. This was not unusual. This was simply what humans did. When someone called for help, humans answered, always, without question, without hesitation. In the depths of space, human ships patrolled alongside vessels from dozens of species. They were not just allies now. They were friends, partners, united by the lessons learned in fire and mercy, united by the understanding that some things were worth fighting for, worth dying for, worth living for. The galaxy was safer now, stronger, more united, all because one species remembered what it meant to care, to act, to help. And if darkness ever returned, the galaxy knew who to call, who would answer, who would bring both the fire to fight and the mercy to heal. Humanity would answer. They always did. It was who they were, who they would always be.